I don't stand side by side with nobody till I bleed with them first.
What did we just see? You probably think this world is a dream come true.
When I step into this ring, yeah, bro, I am addicted.
Don't sleep on Luca!
Maybe tomorrow we'll all wear 42.
If you fight for your dreams will fight for you.
All right, so it's been some time since the last Phillies episode, and that's partly on me and failing to really schedule things well. But the last time we talked about the Phillies, let's see. They had just lost 3 to the Rangers and won the game against New York, so they were like 1-4. Obviously, that was April 4th. It is now April 18th as I record this. And they're still not doing too well. They're sitting at 6-10, fourth in the NL East. It's not been the easiest watch this season, at least to the start of it, and especially with the consistency of this team, because it's just so weird, you know. Sometimes they're real consistent, other times they're not, you know. Some players are doing consistently well right now and others aren't. It's kind of just real confusing to really look at and observe. So, like, for example, you know, we'll take a look at the Red series. You know, they ended up losing the final game of it, but they got 2 wins in it. You know, the first game they won it pretty easily, 5-2. Trey Turner had 2 runs, 2 hits. JT had a hit and a run, and he had 2 RBIs. Schwarber had an RBI as well. Castellanos had 2 hits, 1 run. Bryson Stott obviously got his hit in. I think right now, I forget what his streak is currently at, but, you know, he has a big old streak going of games that he has a hit in, and he just keeps it going every game. Talk about consistent, you know, with at least the fact that he gets like at least 1 hit a game. But you know, this game we won, like I said, pretty easily. It was tied at one point, but then we scored 2 in the 7th, scored 1 in the 8th just for extra measures, and we got the job done. And in this game, Zach Wheeler got the job done as well. You know, he got it done pretty quickly in most innings, and it was only in that like top of the 5th that they were able to score, and then in the 6th, and it was after he let up a double, that's when they took him out. But, you know, apart from that, you know, he had a good 5 solid innings, you know, that he went, which is real nice to see from Wheeler, obviously. And then the game after was like a real close one in that, you know, Cincinnati started off quick. They scored 1 in the 1st, and it wasn't until the 9th that they scored again. And, you know, there was some issues obviously with the team and the fact that we had no scores heading into the 9th. So it was like we were down 2-0, weren't really getting much from people, you know. Just wasn't that good of a hitting night from what I can remember, at least. But it was that final inning that, you know, the team really came through, you know. Bailey Falter did pretty good for about 5 innings. And then, you know, we just kind of kept going these innings without any scores. And like I said, there was the fly ball, sacrifice fly that allowed the Reds to score again. So they were up 2-0. And then we get this crazy 9th inning, which was so fun to watch, where Nick Castellanos gets walked by Alexis Diaz. Then there's a wild pitch, which allows Castellanos to just go to second. So he's in scoring position. Alec Bohm hits a single to center field. This allows Castellanos to go to third. So we got men on the corners. Brandon Marsh comes in to hit for Josh Harrison, and he singles to right field. This allows Castellanos to score and Bohm to get to third base. Edmundo Sosa comes up. He hits a fly ball, sacrifice fly, which allows Bohm to score. So the game's tied. Marsh steals to second base. Bryson Stott is up, and I don't know why I'm blanking on it now, but the commentators like brought up something about like Bryson Stott, like saying like he's never done something. I believe it was this game where they said like he's never done something, and then next thing you know, boom, He hits a single to right field, which allows Marsh to score, and we win the game. Absolutely crazy game to watch. Was fun to watch, down to the wire. But everything before that wasn't so good to watch, in the sense of like a lot of our guys were just going out and striking out, swinging. There was a lot of fly balls being hit, so it wasn't like what you wanted out of the team, but you're still happy to walk away with a win. And then after that, like I said, they lose the final game to the Reds. So far, the Phillies have been unable to win a series. And that continued into the next one as we headed to Miami. And we started off so well. So well. Because we won that first game 15-3. 15-3 with, let's see. Bryson Stott, obviously he had his 2 hits. Trey Turner had 3 runs and 3 hits and an RBI. Schwarber had 2 hits, 3 runs. Castellanos, 3 RBIs this game. It was absolutely insane to see. He was going insane, especially with, I want to say he had like a ton of doubles, I think it was. I don't know. I know Castellanos right now at this point in the season is leading the league in doubles, I think it is. And Marsh is leading in triples. I don't know how much that stat still stands after these past couple games, but that's what it was left at from what I could remember. Let's see. Who else? Alec Boehm had 6 RBIs this game. Was absolutely insane as well. Brandon Marsh, 3 RBIs. Just impressive game from this team. And what made it more impressive was the fact that they did it off of Sandy Alcantara. I hope I pronounced that right. The reason that's so impressive is because last year, Sandy Alcantara was the NL Cy Young winner. So, to be able to get 15 on the Marlins when their, arguably best pitcher was pitching, or that is their best pitcher. I don't know why I said arguably. But yeah, that their best pitcher was up and we went out and did that, it was so impressive to see, and like, I can't stress enough how insane of a stat line it is to see, Alec Boehm with 6 RBIs, Nick Castellanos with 3 RBIs, Brandon Marsh with 3 RBIs. It was just a crazy game where they were hitting real well, and it was like consistent. Like Sandy Alcantara had us through like the first 2 innings. We just couldn't get a thing, and the next thing you know, in that 3rd inning, we explode 5 runs, and then in the 5th 4 runs, and then in the 6th 4 runs, and then the 7th 1, and then in the 8th 1. And pitching this game for us was Matt Strahm. Did pretty well, did what you could ask, and of course the team was helping him out by getting all those hits. And honestly, I'm looking at it. Yeah, he didn't allow anything. When did the Reds score? Or Reds? Why? Oh my gosh, we're talking about the Marlins. Oh, they got all 3 of their scores in the 7th. So yeah, Matt Strahm did really well. McKinley Moore did really well, and it wasn't until that 7th inning where he let up a home run, and then he walked a couple people, so they had to take him out. And Andrew Vasquez kind of had to work with what he had, and that ended up leading to some scores. But again, it was only 3 scores, and we were up 15-3. So all is well, except in the next game, they lose 4-8, and that was with Nola starting. They lose the next one 3-2. They lose to the Reds 6-2. We get a win 8-3. We lose the next one 0-13. And as payback, we come back and beat the Reds. Oh, by the way, those past couple games were against the Reds. We beat the Reds 14-3, which was 2 days ago on Sunday. And it was just one of those performances where you watched, and you were kind of like, why can't we get this every game, Jake Cave had 4 RBIs. Bryson Stott had 2 RBIs. Trey Turner had an RBI. Kyle Schwarber had an RBI. Nick Castellanos, Brandon Marsh, JT Realmuto, Alec Boehm, Josh Harrison even. It was one of those things where we were just like, why can't you guys do like a fraction of this every game? Like, we would win a lot of these games, if they were just consistently doing what they did in some of these games, and obviously that's the obvious thing, but like it's true in the sense of like you look at just their schedule and it's like, man, if you could even just do a fraction of this, and it goes both ways, sometimes the pitching's off, sometimes the team's hitting is off. Like, oh man, I forget. I think it was that game that I mentioned, the Reds one where we won it in the ninth, where people were like, if we find a way to win this, don't let it distract you from the fact of like how like bad the team was performing up to it, which would make sense because they went scoreless until the ninth. But so it's like, you kind of look, and right now we're happy with that win. They're expected to do a double header today, against the White Sox. I don't know who's pitching for the White Sox because of this doubleheader. Like, obviously, the lineups get a bit confusing when it comes to doubleheaders. But so, the main sort of focus. So, we're 6-10. Bryce Harper is not coming back for a while, at least until like All-Star break, I want to say. Rhys Hoskins more than likely isn't coming back this season. And as we've seen, they've experimented with the lineup a lot. They've moved guys around. Like at one point, Alec Bohm was at first base. They're trying out different people, trying to see what works best. But so, where do we go from here, essentially? Well, we know Bryson Stott's going to be consistent. We know Alec Bohm's going to be consistent. I'm going to throw another name in there. I don't know how the fans will feel because, I don't know, I've seen a lot of hate from the fans and I don't get it. But Brandon Marsh has been consistent on both sides of the playing field. That guy is actually, I don't know what the stats say or if this is going to be like the NBA where people are going to pull out advanced stats, that actually he's not that good, those people with their advanced stats. But from what I've seen, he's been pretty good on defense and he's actually been real good at getting to a lot of these plays and getting there real quick. Like I know a lot of times, it just seems like he's catching the easy fly balls and all that. But there's been a couple plays where, he's running that distance and, he's getting to that ball. Obviously, he's going to have the plays where he isn't able to get there. But for the most part, he's been doing pretty good. And hitting-wise, the same. He's had a couple of good games. And, sometimes he's, he just goes striking out just looking, So it's kind of tough. But, like, honestly, for the most part, he's consistent in the fact that, it's like, I'm not saying like he's like this crazy good, like, all-star player right now, but he's doing pretty good. I mean, I mentioned earlier, I'm pretty sure he's leading the league in triples, and also, we've seen what he can do in a lot of these games. The issue is, we don't get to see that consistently, which is funny because I know I'm calling him a consistent player, but we don't get to see it consistently because he's taken out of the lineup a lot, and it's weird because they're like, oh, the reason for this is he doesn't hit well against lefties, I think it is. But then you look at the sample size and it's only like a couple games that they've given him and they rarely give him that chance to prove he can hit against lefties. And the funniest part is that in one of these games from the past, let's see, what is that, 12 days? 12 days of baseball that like I've had like to sample size, there was literally a game in there where he hit a home run to the direction that a lefty would be pitching to him. I'm trying to think. I think it was, I don't know, sorry. But, he hit a home run in that direction, or it might have just been like, I'm pretty sure it was a home run. I'm pretty sure it was a home run because people were bringing that up going, he just hit a home run and we're still having this argument that he can't hit against lefties. And, maybe it's true. Maybe he can hit against lefties. But how are we ever going to know that if we keep subbing him out the lineup, And I get it, you want to have, like, this lineup, that will hit well against this type of pitcher. But how are we supposed to know for sure that Brandon Marsh can't do it if we aren't putting him consistently in the lineup? And when he's in the lineup, he's consistently proving why he should be in the lineup every day. I don't know. It baffles me with that. And then the batting order is another thing. They've been shifting it around. Bryson Stott started leading off a lot with Trey Turner behind him. They started shifting Bohm and JT to like the back end of the lineup, which, you know, a lot of people are like they should stay this way because, you know, they should really do well in cleanup hitting. You know, a lot of people want to put Schwarber back there, but I just don't know. I feel like Schwarber's a guy you keep towards the front because of his power and all that, you know, where if a guy like Stott and Trey Turner get on base, you have them right there with the potential to hit a home run. And if it doesn't work, then you have the back end of the lineup with, you know, guys like Castellanos, Marsh, Real Muto, Bohm, who can do like the cleanup hitting, who can do those, you know, who can get those RBIs essentially. You know, but things have been shifting. Nothing's really been consistent. Like, they're really trying things out. And I think that's what a lot of people are failing to see, is that though a lot of people think it shouldn't have affected us that bad, that Rhys Hoskins injury really messed things up for us, because now not only are we trying to figure out who to play at first base consistently and who works best at first base consistently, to the point where we're thinking of putting Bryce Harper at first base when he comes back to start off, just so he doesn't have to, or just so he doesn't accidentally re-aggravate that injury. Because, you know, first base doesn't throw a whole lot too often. So that's like their thing behind it. But then it's like trying to fill in Rhys Hoskins' place in the lineup and trying to move this lineup around. And, you know, it's just kind of tough to figure out. And then, of course, the pitching as well. You know, it is what it is at this point for Philly fans, you know. The bullpen obviously could still need some work, but some guys are doing real well, you know, like Jose Alvarado and Sir Anthony Dominguez are obviously the two that stick out. We're still waiting for Ranger to come back, desperately waiting for Ranger to come back. Wheeler, for the most part, been pretty consistent, if I can say so myself. Friday's game against the Reds, I didn't get to watch it, but my friend was telling me that Taijuan Walker was really doing well in that one. Nola, doing pretty well, you know. He went 6 innings in the most recent game. But, you know, it's the thing with Nola, man. Nola, he's very inconsistent at times. He can be very consistent for you, but you never know what Nola you're going to get sometimes. Is it going to be the Nola that goes 6, close to 7 innings, you know? Or is it going to be the Nola that hits a wall in the 3rd or 4th, has let up a ton of hits or runs, and needs to be taken out, you know? And this is coming from a guy who's loved Nola all the time he's been in Philly, you know? I have his jersey and all that, so, you know, I love the guy. I'm hoping the best for him, but, like, it is getting to this point where it's like, you almost expect it, like, all right, when's he hitting that wall? Is this going to be one of those games, you know? And I'm pretty sure he's, like, up for a contract extension, so hoping he picks it up so that we can be sure in our decision to, like, extend him, re-sign him, you know. But so just gotta keep being optimistic. You got the White Sox next, the Rockies next, and the Mariners next before we get what I would look at as like a death lineup, in a sense of we got to go play 3 games at Houston and then 3 games at LA to face against the Dodgers. I likely won't be going to any of those games, more than likely. There's a game 4:10 p.m. but I wonder if they're doing like time zones with that, and that's the time it's going to start for East, and meaning over here in LA it would start at 1. But man, just got to hope for the best and hope they can turn it around, because at 6-10, that's not really what you want to be at. Hopefully in these next couple of games they could just get to 500. Like I said, right now what they're doing, not what they need, but if they really start, you know, picking things back up, I think they can get to a point where by the time Bryce Harper comes back, they could really make a push for the wild card like they did last season. And the one thing I'll leave it with is this one post that I saw that I sent to my friend who is, you know, real big on baseball and has been helping me, you know, learn more about the game and all that. So someone had this proposed lineup after the trade deadline. They said Bryson Stott leads off, followed by Trey Turner, Bryce Harper, who's the designated hitter, CJ Cron, who they're assuming gets traded, or the Phillies trade for him from the Rockies, I believe, is actually who he comes from. Sorry, I'm going to start learning a lot more of these players and where, you know, what teams they play for. But yeah, CJ Cron from the Rockies plays first base, so that's assuming that that's who they trade for to fulfill the Rhys Hoskins role. I don't know the guy's contract, so maybe it's just like a short-term thing, you know, just for like this year, maybe even the next. But, you know, just something to fill in for Rhys Hoskins is what I assume this fan wants. Kyle Schwarber after him, Nick Castellanos, JT Realmuto, Alec Bohm, and Brandon Marsh as the 9-hitter, which is what he was like last year, especially during that postseason run. Remember, he had that big old home run from the 9 spot. I remember that because of the Phillies announcer literally screaming the 9-hitter when he hit it. But that's a pretty crazy lineup, and like I said, it would be crazy to see like that back end being the ones to do the cleanup hitting. Like the fact Alec Bohm and Brandon Marsh would be our 8 and 9 hitter, and especially like as my friend put it, Brandon Marsh as the 9 hitter could have potential to be like having 2 leadoffs essentially, where, you know, with him and Stott, you know, it's like I said, how consistent they are, especially with getting on base a lot. Hey man, it could work, but the whole issue of the lineup is its whole other thing, especially with Rob Thompson. People are kind of having their doubts about him. I say we just give it a bit more time. I know we can't waste too much time in the baseball world and every game matters. But, hey man, last season, look what we did, you know. All we need to do is make the playoffs, and that's all that matters, you know. Once you make the playoffs, it's a whole different monster. And it's all about who catches fire first. And as we saw last year, we can catch fire. And I have no doubt we can catch fire with this lineup. But that doesn't mean that they can continue their ways. Because, again, they continue like this. By the time Bryce Harper comes back, who knows? It might be too late. But, you know, I got hope. I'm going to watch a ton of these games. I've started a tracker so I can keep track of how many games I've been watching the Phillies. I'm trying to watch more games this season. I'm trying to keep up more. And hopefully the next episode of this is a bit more positive, with a bit more wins, and also it comes sooner and not, 12 days later.